Hey guys, what's up? This is Adam here, I Can't See the Guy. Welcome to the Movie Vault. Right, movie review time. This time on a horror movie done by Stephen King. I know lately I've been doing reviews on Disney and I'm having fun with that because Disney's a big part of everyone's childhood, including mine, and I've got so much love for Disney. But a lot of people are missing my reviews on horror movies. And I've got one subscriber who gave a list of some of his favourite horror movies in one of my comments on one of my past horror movie reviews. And he gave a list of all his favourite Stephen King's horror movies that he liked. And one really stood out to me when I looked at the list of the ones he liked. And one that stuck to my mind was Stephen King's Thinner, which came out in the year of 1996. Now, I've got this movie on Blu-ray, and I like the movie. When I saw the film Thinner, I thought to myself, I've got to watch that again. It's been a long time since I've watched that movie Thinner. And I remember really liking it really, really, really much. That's why I got it on Blu-ray in the first place. But after rewatching it moments ago, I've got to admit, it's not the best Stephen King movie. Okay. But with that being said, I got a kick out of the movie. There's some things in the movie that I like, and there's some things I don't like. But overall, on the whole, I enjoyed it. It's not like one of those, oh my god, this is fucking awesome type of movie. And it's not one of those movies that are like, holy fuck, this movie is a piece of shit. Please turn this fucking nightmare off. It's not one of those either. It's kind of like mediocre in the middle. But Stephen King has done some better movies than Stephen King's Thinner, for example. Stephen King's It, Stephen King's Cujo, The Shining. He's done some really good Stephen King movies. Now, before anyone says anything, I've not read the novel of Stephen King's Thinner. I've not read the novel. I'm not much of a reader. That's something I did back at fucking high school. As Matilda's father says, there's been an day you can get from a book that you can't get from a television faster. So that's something for a different day. But anyhow, I've just got done watching Thinner, and what's so funny about this film is that the fact that there's hardly any heroes, there's hardly any good guys to like, there's hardly any people to root for, you know what I mean? People that you want to see more of, people who you're rooting for. Because when you think about it, this film is just full of villains. I mean, think about it. The gypsies are villains for doing the whole curse and all the robberies and the threats, the curses. You got, I can't believe I'm saying this, Robert John Burke. And I'm not a big fan of him as an actor because he replaced Peter Weller's Robocop in Robocop 3. He played Robocop in Robocop 3, Robert John Burke did. And I never forgave him for that. But it's not his fault, he was just doing it for the paycheck. But he's in this movie playing this fat lawyer by the name of Billy. He's a villain, because when you think about it, he's working with all the cops, he's working with the lawyers, and he's even in the process in the start of the movie of getting this crime boss walk out scot-free from court. And the wife, Billy's wife, she's cheating on him with the family doctor. So they're all villains in this movie, and you think to yourself, especially Billy, when you think to yourself all this horrendous stuff's happening to him, like him going thinner, thinner, and thinner throughout the whole are you thinking to yourself, are you meant to feel sorry for this guy? Are you hoping that he makes it? It's not every day you're cheering a villain on, hoping that he beats the curse and he survives. Because that's basically what the film's about when it opens up. He gets introduced this fat lawyer by the name of Billy. He's got a family, a wife and a daughter. While all this is happening, gypsies are driving by, coming into the town. And he's in the process in the middle of court of getting this crime boss scot-free after he's guilty of a crime. But he's like a guilty lawyer, he's up to mischief, he's got obesity problems, and again, he's just such a hard character to like because of his guilty ways, doing all these crimes. In every film, in every scene of this movie, he's like stuffing his face. You know what I mean? In like a sloppy, greedy, gross way. Like, you know, he's eating, whether it's at a dinner table or whether he's driving a car. He's basically stuffing his face in gross ways. And you're thinking to yourself, you're meant to look up at this guy, you're meant to like this guy when he's doing gross shit like that. But he's coming back from a family meal this one evening with his wife. His wife's giving him a blowjob while he's driving, and while this is happening, an old gypsy lady's crossing the road. He doesn't see where he's going, and he hits and kills her. And then, just because he's like friends with the judge, friends with the police, he gets out scot free. You know, he walks away after killing the gypsy lady. And then there's this older gypsy who puts a curse on Billy by stroking his face, going, "Thinner." You know? And basically, this old gypsy is getting revenge on Billy for the murder of his daughter. Along with the judge, he gets cursed as well, and so does the chief of police. You know? And that stage on throughout the movie, it's Billy losing weight. You know? And in every take, in every scene, you see him get thinner, 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 and thinner. And one thing that people really complained about this movie, they thought the effects of of Billy's obesity suit, you know, the costume that he's wearing to make him look obese, look really fake as hell, you know, where the lines are on the face. But that's one good thing about this movie. I don't think the effects were bad at all. I don't think the effects were bad. The only time where the suit looked a bit iffy was when Billy was like in the shower room, you know, with the having a conversation with the judge. You can tell, like, if you look at his stomach area, his belly button area, it looks a bit weird, like all wrinkly. Same when he's butt naked, you know, weighing himself, his ass area looks all wrinkly, you know. I can't believe I'm saying this, but his ass area looks all really wrinkly, like in this fat obesity suit that he's wearing. I think in the extras it said something about while Billy's taking a shower, the water was taking a lot of toll on the fat suit that he was wearing, and it was causing, you know, the fat suit to get ruined or whatever. I think I remember that's what they said in the extras anyway, the making of the film. So Billy's noticing that he's losing all this weight, and he's convinced that he's cursed because he's never forgot the day when the old man stroked his face, saying thinner. And he gets even more convinced when he visits the judge and the chief of police, and they've got curses of their own. The judge is like having, like peeling skin, like as if he's turning into a lizard. The chief of police has got like these big fat fish lips, and he commits suicide when Billy leaves. So Billy's got one intention in mind, and that's to, well, with the help of the crime boss who we got off earlier, is to track down the older man gypsy to take the curse off him before he dies, because he's getting that thinner, thinner, and thinner. That soon there'll be nothing left of him, and he'll eventually die. You know, and when he eventually catches up with the old gypsy, you know, there's a scene, you know, where he's saying, "Take your fucking curse off of me," and he gets shot in the hand by the granddaughter who fires a catapult at him. And he's like, "The curse from the white man on town is on you, pal. You haven't read about it in books, but it's on you." And then Billy's like on one big mission to try and hurt the older gypsy into blackmailing him until he takes the curse off. There's even a scene, you know, where he poisons the dogs. Or there's a scene where the granddaughter gets kidnapped. She's held hostage inside the barn. You know, Billy succeeds. Billy succeeds because the old man doesn't want anything to happen to his granddaughter, so he does take the curse off him. He like gets this pie and, you know, stabs a hole in Billy's hand and drains the blood in the pie and says someone's got to eat this pie to lift the curse. While all this is happening, Billy's wife is having an affair with the family doctor, so he decides to feed the pie to his wife to get revenge. And I'm thinking to myself, how, if you're planning on killing your own wife, how are you going to explain that to the daughter? Well, that is kind of like misled because the daughter says, "I had a piece of your pie for breakfast before leaving," and which means she's going to die from the curse. And then the scene ends with like Billy inviting the family doctor into the house, planning on killing him. And he's like, "White doctor from town." Then the credits roll. So overall, on the whole, this movie, it's okay. Not one of the Steven Spielberg's best, but if this movie, I like the idea of the movie. I like the idea of a horror movie of a guy getting a curse put on him by gypsies, and you know, the concept of someone getting really thin in a gross, evil way, a disturbing way. But it would have helped this movie if I were let in charge of this movie and I made this movie. I would have made Billy a likable character, you know, a likable lawyer, like because someone's got to be root for. So there's got to be a good guy in this movie, and Billy like seems to be like the only likable character because what if he killed the gypsy lady accidentally, and he felt remorse for what he done? And what if the gypsy made a deal with him saying like, "Turn yourself in, then I'll take the curse off." And then he doesn't want to go to prison, but he ends up doing all these deeds rather than blackmailing the old gypsy guy into taking the curse off him. So what if he was like a hero of the movie, and and there was like a little twist at the end that made the curse get lifted before he went to prison because he did a good deed or he helped the gypsy guy. Think about it like that. So that's what's funny about this movie. There's not one likable character in terms of being a good guy. They're all villains apart from the daughter, but she only appears for like the start of the film, a few scenes in the middle of the film, and then last minute in the last final act. You know, so everyone's up to mischief. Everyone's like doing their own evil thing, whether it's having an affair, whether it's putting curses on people, whether it's running gypsies over, helping crime bosses, doing blackmails. Every character in this movie is like a bad guy. You know what I mean? But I liked it. I mean, like I said, I didn't mind the effects. So the effects didn't look too good on the obesity suit that Billy was wearing, like in the shower scene. That's the only thing that put me off a little. But throughout the movie, I thought they did a good job of the makeup effects. You know, where Billy's like getting thinner, all the wrinkles are appearing on his chin and on his face. Because towards the end of the movie, he's really skinny. And there's hardly anything left of him. You know? And I thought it was a good concept for a horror movie. You know? A good idea. But they should have turned it around just a little bit. And I wouldn't have had Robert Burke in this movie. Because I'm not a fan of the actor. Because like I said, he played Robocop in Robocop 3. Taking over Peter Weller's character. And I never really forgave him for that. And I hate Robocop 3. The concept of fucking Robocop fighting flying ninjas and all that kind of shit. So that's one movie I didn't like, and Robert John Burke was in that, you know, as Robocop, you know, flying around with a jetpack, you know, fighting ninjas, you know. So didn't really forgive him for that. But there's other Stephen King films that I would put above this. I'd put Cujo above this. I'd put Stephen King's It above this, you know. So I'm not saying it was like a disastrous movie. I'm just saying, you know, I liked it a lot better when I first saw it for the first time. But after rewatching this movie again on Blu-ray, which was nice by the way, seeing it on Blu-ray, the movie does have its problems. And, you know, there's just a few bits and pieces in the movie that were unnecessary. I mean, just showing scenes of Billy eating, you know, he's stuffing his face, you know, in a gross way. It's just show that's what the movie is all about from start to finish. It's just Billy and his obesity problems. He's not even eating with manners or anything like that. He's like stuffing his face, you know, and like in a gross way, like at the dinner table. And even his wife's saying, "Billy, will you please slow down? Why are you eating like that?" And he's like, "It's a race and I'm losing." You know, and it's like, it's enough to put you off your own food. But anyway, everyone, that's my review on Thinner. If you like Stephen King, then I recommend you watching Thinner. But like I say, this is not one of his best works. You know what I mean? And like I say, I've not read the book, and I don't intend on reading the book, so I'm not much of a reader. But that's my review on Stephen King's Spinner from 1996, everybody. Check it out. You might be surprised. You might like it more than me, but just giving you one of my honest opinions. So thanks for watching this, everybody, and email me if you've got any questions. Leave all your comments below. Peace out. Have a nice day.